So how much did you need a game like that last week?
Oh, we did need a good hit out, a good test, and we certainly got that, didn't we? So, look, it was important, and again, like I've made it pretty clear over the last few weeks that everything is building towards round one in March, and like you said, it's important that you do get some good competitive fixtures in before that starts. I mean, traditionally it would be a couple of friendlies leading into your first game. Obviously, it's a little bit different this year round as we've got these different cup competitions for over, which is sort of over a sort of 6 to 8 week period prior to the season starting. So, but look, it was a really good hit out for us, and we certainly got a lot from the contest.
Probably the first real test of your defence as well.
Yeah.
So how did you feel they came through with that?
Oh, well, we weren't at our best. There's no doubt about that. I felt certainly around the ruck we were very loose in terms of our contact tackle management. And again, sometimes systematically we got broken down as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of things there that we need to address and fix up going forward. But like I said, it's the first, for me, genuine competitive hit out that we've had this year. And I always know in your first couple of games, whether it's friendlies or not, it's all about getting your timing back, and you are going to be a little bit off at times. And again, we'll come up against a very, very good side that were in, that sort of started the game extremely well. So, it was an interesting contest for us in terms of, it was such a poor start, but the way that we managed to sort of dig in for one another and keep the scoreline respectable-ish was pleasing. But look, at the end of the day, I'm not reading too much into it. It was a really good hit out for us, and we certainly got a lot out of it.
We spoke last week about how you can only learn certain things about your players in match situations,
Sure.
And it can't be recreated. So how useful was it in that sense for you?
Yeah, it was good because, like I said, we wanted to have a look at slightly a different dynamic this week than what we looked at the week before. And, it's just given us some food for thought there as coaches. So, yeah.
On to this week, the Challenge Cup. What kind of test are you expecting from Dewsbury for your side?
Oh, a very stern test. They're at home, and obviously I know they have not had the greatest start in the 1895 Cup competition, but it's a different competition now, isn't it? And it's straight knockout rugby league. So, I've always said it before, form goes out the window when it comes to Challenge Cup. We've seen that. We saw that with us last year. So, it's irrelevant. We're just going to have to go there, and for me, just focus on the smaller details within our game. I've made it very clear. There's probably going to be a number of changes this week as well. We want to have a look at everybody over these first few weeks. So, but whoever the 17 are there, they'll have the sort of standards that we set and what we expect from them, and hopefully they'll deliver that, and hopefully that'll be enough to earn as a result to progress to the next round. And
a very different kind of game. I always think Dewsbury, with the environment, brings its own challenges.
Yeah, it does. Obviously, it's a small pitch. It's a narrow pitch. We don't know what the conditions will be like there. I don't know how the state of their pitch is holding up at the moment. There's going to be a lot of different sort of factors for us to contend with. Like I said, there'll be a few changes as well. So, but we're very much looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to seeing, some of the players, some of the guys obviously were involved last week. We'll get an opportunity to right some wrongs, and then we'll have some new fresh faces as well in there, which will be great to see where they're at. So it's definitely a worthwhile exercise and a game that we're very much looking forward to.
With the rotation of your squad to give people game time, How do you balance that with also building partnerships across your side?
Well, we keep those combinations working at training the way we want to. But again, it's also, as I said, it's important for me in these first few games that everybody gets an opportunity to show us where they're at, and that will help us as coaches make those decisions as we sort of build towards, either the next stages of a cup competition if we're there, or as we build into the season, we can then start to sort of fine tune the team and get it ready for round one. So, yeah.
Team-wise, any knocks from last week of any concern?
No, we come through injury-free last week, which was great.
And how are people progressing? Anybody nearer making the first appearance of the season?
Yeah, there may be one or two new faces here this week. We'll see.
And longer-term injuries, is everybody progressing as you would expect them to?
Yeah, yep, everyone's on track. So, yeah, we're in a good place. Don't worry about that.
So the Challenge Cup, where does that fit for you this season? We've talked about the 1895 Cup and how that works for you, but what about the Challenge Cup? Yeah,
well, look, obviously, I love the Challenge Cup because of the history and tradition involved with it. I suppose when you're looking at it from the IMG perspective, I don't think there's really any points to obtain the further you go in the competition. So, but the reality is, for me, I just see it as it's another opportunity to play a competitive fixture. For us at this stage of the competition, it's an opportunity to have a look at some people and get some much needed game time. So, again, for me, we'll just take it each week as it comes. If we progress further in the competition, then we'll address it as it comes, so to speak. But yeah.
And with the start of this season, there's been a lot said about rule changes that are coming in and which areas that referees are tightening up on. How have you worked with your squad with this? Because I'm guessing for some it's a real change of what they've been used to.
Oh look, we've worked obviously incredibly focused over the pre-season around getting that mark area right and getting the playable area right. And to be fair, we haven't really certainly in the first 2 games we've played, we haven't really been pulled too much on having markers not square or incorrect play the ball. So that's a good sign. It means that we've got some things right in pre-season there. We had a couple in the opposed games, which we're then able to iron out off the back of that. So so overall, I'm pretty pleased with where we're at. And again, for me, it hasn't been a lot of rule changes. I think a lot of people think there's been a lot of rule changes. It's just been policed better. That's the reality. Markers have always had to be square. People have always had to play the ball properly. It's just what's happened in recent years is we've allowed that to slip. People haven't been playing it properly. Markers haven't been square, and teams haven't been penalised for that. So it's like anything. If you create those sort of habits, then people will continue to do those. So what we have done as coaches in our meetings with the officials and with the governing body is we feel that we want to get that ruck area tidier and cleaner, and what's going to help that is if we police those areas a lot better. So it's not for me too many rule changes as such. Obviously the tackle height rule is one that we've had to look at, and that's a change to some degree. But again, in saying that, you've never been allowed to tackle the head anyway. So again, it's not really a change. It's just having that more conscious and understanding that really even, some that might just slip up may be penalised a bit further than what they had been. So there's a little bit more focus on around getting that tackle height lowered. And again, the 6 again, as we know, it was introduced previously. It's just slightly changed in the yardage area now. So there's not too much to contend with there. It's just basically being better in actioning those areas so you don't get penalised, which I think we've been fairly good at so far.
Hendo, you're not really reading too much into the Wakefield result then, but do you think there's lessons to be learned from it?
Yeah, absolutely. We've obviously learned that, probably defensively, there's some areas there we need to fix up. Certainly around that kind of ruck area, our contacting and tackle management. That was probably a little bit off on the weekend. So we have to make some improvements there. There was a couple of areas systematically that we didn't get quite right either. So, definitely gives us some things to work on. But like I said, we've got 6 weeks preparation really now ahead of round 1. So plenty of time to get those areas right.
Johnny Thompson, one of the players who sort of gained the plaudits after the game from the Knights fans. What were your thoughts on his performance? Yeah,
I was really pleased with Geordie. I thought it was a strong performance from him. I thought the work rate that he got through, I think he carried for 22 times and mates, I think over 200 metres with his carries, and I think he was a real, for me, standout performer on the day. I thought he worked tirelessly defensively. So again, it was just one of those performances where not everybody was probably brought their A game, so to speak, but. Again, I'm not going to be too critical of the team because it was our first genuine competitive hit out, and always your first couple of games, you're just getting your timing back with your contact area, you're getting your timing back with your lines of run, and because obviously you're ultimately put under a lot more pressure in a game situation, and obviously Wakefield, as we know, are a very, very good side and put us under a lot of pressure on that day. So it was just interesting to see where we were and how we handled that. And like I said, the most pleasing thing for me was after what was a horrendous start for us was the way that we sort of dug in and we kept it kind of respectable from that sort of 20-minute mark onwards, so to speak.
Looking ahead to this weekend, I think a lot of people would probably see York as a favourite to this clash. What sort of threats, though, do Dewsbury pose to your side? Well,
Dewsbury know how to play on that pitch. It's something that we're not used to, playing on a tight pitch and a shorter pitch, and and they're a stubborn team. They're a team that won't go away. They've had the experience of, they know what winning looks like because they won the League One campaign last year, and a lot of that squad has been retained into this season. So they know how to win. It's going to pose a different sort of, I suppose, challenge for us. Being away from home, different pitch conditions. I don't know what the conditions are going to be like on the day, and it's a different competition now. It's knockout rugby league, so there's a little bit more at stake, so to speak. So you don't necessarily have next week to to come back and sort it out. So you win, you're through, you lose, you're out. So it's going to be an interesting one for us. Looking forward to it.
You mentioned how form doesn't really come into the Challenge Cup with it being a knockout competition.
Sure.
But do you think Dewsbury's confidence might be a little bit low after a surprise defeat against Keighley and obviously a defeat to Bradford as well?
Oh, look, I think they'll be obviously disappointed in their two games and performances, but I know that they'll be obviously looking at that and they'll want to right the wrongs, so to speak, and they'll see this as an opportunity to do that, and they'll say that it's a different competition, so that's gone. We're now moving to this one, and that's the way it is. And it's the same for us. You know, we've sort of had two contrasting fixtures in our group games of the 1895 Cup, and now this is another, I guess, opportunity for us, for those players that were involved in last week's game, that they can right some wrongs, and the guys that haven't been involved yet or weren't involved in last week, then they're going to get an opportunity to show what they're about.
Charlie Severs, how was he settled in?
Really, really good. No, he's a good guy. Really pleased to have him on board. Obviously, he won't be involved in any of these Challenge Cup fixtures because it'll mean he'll be cup tight. But like I said last week, it was important to bring him in as soon as we could to start to integrate him within the team with a view to challenging for a shirt, when he's available to play.
Assistant head coach Paul Cook's currently, I've seen it on Twitter right now, but he's shadowing in a Super League club today,
Yes,
the
he is,
coaching.
mate.
What's the thinking behind that?
Yeah, well, like I said, we're always encouraging our staff to go and look at sort of personal development opportunities, and obviously Paul's managed to contact Matt Pete there, and I know Matt quite well, and he's very, very open, and he's very welcoming in terms of letting people in at the right times within his organisation. I've had the luxury of spending some time there in the past as well, and again, it's just a great opportunity for Paul to go there, get some ideas, see how a different environment works. Is there any bits there he can bring from there to bring into us, or vice versa? It's just all about personal development. So I certainly encourage that a lot.
Liam Harris is his first season as captain. How do you think he's sort of settled into that new role?
I've been pretty pleased with Liam. He's, like I said, it was something that I started to try and develop with him last year, and then obviously spoke to him in the close season about taking on the role, and I'm thankful that he felt he was ready for it and willing to take it on and looking forward to it. And I think so far we've built a good relationship, Liam and myself, and also within the leadership group. And I think he's doing a good job for us at the moment, so I'm pleased.
Last one from me. You've mentioned quite a lot before the season actually started about the combinations and what you've been working on the training pitch. Do you think you've seen that throughout these first two fixtures?
Yeah, I do. I do certainly. We've seen a lot more probably in the Newcastle game from an attacking point of view. I think the Wakefield game for me was, probably a lot of the stuff didn't really translate to a degree, but I think a lot of that was because of the start we had to the game. I think we were really shell-shocked at the start. I think Wakefield came out, started a lot faster than we did. We probably mismanaged a few areas of our game. I know that they had like 8 sets to our 3 in the first 15 minutes, and we found ourselves 18-0 down. So, we put ourselves on the back foot, really. And then I think off the back of that, you're then trying to get back into the energy battle, and things just don't seem to go right for you. I felt, our attack certainly wasn't as fluent as it was the week before. But then again, we had a slightly different attacking dynamic this week than we did the week before in terms of personnel and what we were trying to look at as well. So, and that's again where those learning curves are made. You go, okay, maybe this is the way that we want to sort of play. Maybe this isn't the way that we're going to end, that type of thing. But also defensively, there were some areas there that we weren't challenged there last week, if I'm honest, but we were certainly challenged this week, and we got found wanting on a few occasions. So, there's some things there for us to address and fix up.